Very good afternoon to all of you. The one is Smart City Mission. Yesterday you must have had this brief about this mission, which is actively being implemented by the Ministry of Urban Development as well as state governments and urban local bodies. The mission is being implemented in 100 smart cities. The next most important mission is AMRUT, that is Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation. I think the name of the mission itself will show you that it is an urban transformation. So I no need to much talk about the urban related issues which the cities are facing. It is infrastructure upgradation of around 500 cities. Then you are all well aware of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, where towards a cleaner India, where most of the cities have been taking up this program for implementation. Hriday, it is a holistic development of heritage cities. These are the most important flagship programs of the Ministry of Urban Development. I will dwell upon AMRUT Mission for a brief to know the viewers what is the AMRUT Mission and where the geospatial database creation is part of that and how we are going to implement it. The mission says that ensure every household in urban areas of these 500 cities should have access to tap drinking water supply and sewerage connection. See, this is the basic services of the urban areas where most of the cities, most of the areas doesn't have the water supply and sewerage. There is a lot of gap. So the mission says that it should have a 100% coverage and assured supply of water. You can understand assured supply of water. So, and there should be a sewerage connection. The other thrust area of the mission is open spaces and development and management of the greenery and parks. See, this is one of, we need lung spaces where the most of the towns and cities are being congested and polluted. The open spaces and greenery of developing in the cities will make the people and get quality of life. The third thrust area is switching to public transport by NMT and reducing the pollution. These are the major thrust areas of AMRUT Mission. The major components covered under the mission are water supply, sewerage and septage management, stormwater drainage, urban transport, development of green spaces, reform implementation, and capacity building. If you look at the coverage, these 500 cities are above 1 lakh population. Most of all the cities above 1 lakh are covered under AMRUT, and the cities which are less than 1 lakh but capitals of the states, they are also covered, and Hridaya cities which are heritage cities, and other cities which are very close to main rivers and which are the rest of the cities from hill states and islands. These are the cities of 500 which are covered under the AMRUT Mission. We look at the fund allocation. What is the magnitude of the fund allocated for this mission? It is 50,000 crore for 5 years from 2015 to 2020 as a centrally sponsored scheme. This is the central fund allocated of 50,000 crores. This is dispersed in 3 installments, that is 20, 40 and 40 for the components mentioned earlier. How the cities which are in various types like class 1, class 2, how they will get it? See, the cities, 1/3 of the project cost as a grant from Government of India will be available for the cities above 10 lakhs and 50% of the project cost as a grant from the cities which are less than 10 lakhs. The balance have to be funded from state governments and ULBs. For northeastern cities, it is above 50%, that is up to 90% of the Government of India funds for AMRUT scheme. So when we go to the implementation of the scheme, the first step is a service level improvement plan has to be prepared for each AMRUT city, covering uniform water supply, sewerage, the same basic services, and also estimate the gaps and see the alternatives, what are the alternatives, and prioritize them and financing and prepare a service level improvement plan. For each city, the onus lies with the municipal commissioner for preparation of the service level improvement plan, which is the basic document which gives you all the requirements of that particular city related to our components. Then the integration of all service level improvement plans will become state annual action plan. Like earlier programs, it is not project based. It is an annual plan which all projects, which all slips have been aggregated, which forms the state annual action plan, which is prepared for year wise for all water supply, sewerage, and which will give you the priorities and financing of the project. This SAP will be approved by Ministry of Urban Development through its Apex committee. So once this is approved by the Apex committee, the execution starts. There is a SHPSC, that is State High Power Steering Committee, which approves the SAP and also approves the slips. Once that is done, the aggregated slips will become SAP, which will be approved by Apex committee. The Apex committee at the Ministry of EUD will approve it. Then execution begins. Then will go ULBs and DPRs will identify. ULBs will get the DPRs and identify the projects and implement the program. If we look at the program management structure at the national level, there is Apex committee, which is chaired by Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India. There are other members of the committee like Secretary, Department of Expenditure, Secretary, Economic Affairs, and Secretary, HUPA, and the Chief Planner, TCPU, and Mission Director, Member Secretary, Joint Secretary is the Member Secretary of the Apex Committee. This Apex Committee at the national level approves the SAPs of each state and allocate the funds, and also monitors and supervises the mission. If we look at the state level, there is a State High Power Steering Committee, that is SHPSC, which is the most important committee at the state level, headed by the Chief Secretary, and the committee consisting of Principal Secretary Public Health, Finance, Housing, and so on, and representative from Ministry of Urban Development, and Principal Secretary EUD as the Member Secretary. The SHPC plays very important role in the AMRUT mission. The major functions are, once it integrates the slips, it identifies the fund requirement, it identifies the priorities, it identifies the gaps of infrastructure among the ULBs, and also approves the SAP, which prepares the SAP, and it also sanctioned the SLTC, the projects which are approved by the state level technical committee. It also brings lot of inter-organizational coordination and collaboration for better planning and implementation of the mission. And there is another committee at the state level, that is State Level Technical Committee. Newsletter, Digital India Initiative, and so on. There are so many major major reforms under AMRUT mission. The fourth one, you see that urban planning and city level planning. One of the most important reform is preparation of master plan using GIS. You are all aware of master plans and development plans, which are very important for the planned development of the city. This is one of the reform where you have so many aspects under the reforms, which you can see devolution of funds and the building bylaws, which is the Ministry of Urban Development has taken up, revision of building bylaws, and there are many reforms which are very essential for proper development of the cities. Now, if you look at the AMRUT mission, the most important reform is formulation of GIS-based master plans. Government of India later has made as a sub-scheme fully for implementation in 500 cities. If you look at the background of the GIS-based master plans, Ministry of Urban Development in the past, in the 8th 5-year plan, we had a ambitious program of urban mapping for 52 towns and cities, which was completed at 1:2500 scale using aerial photographs and provided to the towns and cities for their own planning requirement. Later came the National Urban Information System Scheme, which is nearing completion, which was started in March 2006 for development of geospatial database at 1:10,000 scale using remote sensing data, 1:2000 scale using aerial data, 1:1000 scale for utility mapping. So under this scheme, there is a capacity building component where more than 3,000 people have been trained in application of geospatial technology for urban and regional planning. If you look at the master plan, in the whole of the country, around 20% of the towns and cities have the master plan. Why? What are the problems in preparation of master plan? See, if you look at the problems, you have to prepare the land use maps, which is very cumbersome process. And if you use the state of art of technology, you can prepare the plans much faster way. And if you look at the development plan or a master plan, which is basically a statutory document which provides, which guides and regulates the urban development of the towns and cities. If you use the GIS technology coupled with remote sensing aerial technology or LIDAR, you can prepare the plans much faster and you can get a required accuracy. And this digital format of the data can facilitate share the data among the line departments for their own sectoral plans. The major objective of formulation of GIS-based master plan under AMRUT is preparation of or developing of geo-referenced based maps and land use maps using the geographical information system for 500 cities. The other one, there are three major components. One is base map preparation. Number 2 is formulation of master plan. Number 3 is capacity building. If you look at the benefits, outcomes of the sub-scheme is you can prepare the master plans much fastest way, and you can have a effective land use management and land use utilization and land use control also. Then you can monitor the physical growth of the cities and towns. If you see that archives data, which direction the cities are growing, and it enables the project planning. Suppose you want to prepare a DPR, if you have a GIS database available for a transport network or your water supply network or your land use management, you can effectively prepare DPRs and also for better urban management. If we look at the roles and responsibilities of the implementation of the project, see, the first role is the map preparation using the satellite data. It will be done by NRSC, National Remote Sensing Center, Department of Space. Then number 2 is the prioritization and demarcation of area of mapping, vetting of the maps. Once the maps are prepared by NRSC, these maps will be vetted by the state governments and state mission directors. Then, for using that data, formulation of GIS-based master plans and development plans, it is state mission directors and urban local bodies. Then, the other component is capacity building. So, the ULB level and institutional level, a comprehensive capacity building program has to be developed by the states so that the skilled manpower is available. Then overall coordination and monitoring is with Ministry of UDTCP. Let us see the process of formulation of GIS-based master plan. First, what has to be done once you have AMRUT city? First, demarcate the mapping area. Which are the areas to be mapped? So that has to be done on any geocoded map like Survey of India map. So Survey of India graticule map, you can demarcate the mapping area. While demarcating the mapping area, you have to see the proposed areas, future urbanizable areas, and appropriately map it. Then acquire the satellite data for the area which you have demarcated. Then GPS survey has to be conducted. Then geo-reference the map. Using the GIS topology building, you have to do the ground truthing and provide the value addition. After ground truthing, do the value addition from various line departments like addition of ward boundary maps or revenue maps or some other data which you have it, you can add to the data. Then you do the quality checking, vetting. Vetting is the most important aspect in this whole process. Once the data comes from the National Remote Sensing Center, the local bodies have to vet the data and they have to certify it so that that data can be effectively used for plan formulation. Once GIS base map is ready, this base map can be prepared using design and standards. Already design and standards how to prepare a GIS base map has already been developed by Ministry of Urban Development. Then that data you can use for various thematic map generations required for planning purposes. Then you go for a planning process, that is identification of issues. What are the issues of that city, particular city, and what are the potentialities, and project the requirements based on the population projections, and also see the various alternatives and go for a policy proposals, and you prepare sector-wise draft proposals and go for a master plan formulation draft, then put up for the government approval as per the State Town and Country Planning Act. How we have worked out the cost? See, there are metro cities in AMRUT and you have class 1 and other than class 1. So what we have based on the certain criteria we collected from the state governments, we got a kind of assumption that metro cities around 500 square kilometers and class 1 and other cities are 200 square kilometers. We have got a data cost from the NRSC cost committee that is around 10,000 rupees per square kilometer from data acquisition end to end and delivery of the final maps at 1:4,000 scale. Why 1:4,000 scale? We had a chief planners meeting, chief town planners meeting. And the chief town planners of the states have decided that if it is 1:4,000 scale maps are provided for master plan formulation, it will meet all their requirements, that is superimposition of revenue maps and other maps which are statutory maps, so that they can prepare master plans very effectively. So then we have worked out per square kilometer cost as per NRSC estimate rates, we have worked out the cost of mapping would be around 115 crores for all these 500 cities. Then plan formulation. As per the rates obtained prevailing rates from state town planning departments of the country, we have normalized the rates, and a metro city can be, a master plan for metro city can be prepared with 100 lakhs, and whereas other towns which will be 75 lakhs per town will be the cost for plan formulation. So that for the cost of plan formulation works out to be 388 crores. This is an estimate. So then we have worked out cost of capacity building program for each city of metro. Per unit cost is around 5 lakhs for each metro city, and each other city it is a 2 lakhs. So we have worked out for 500 cities the capacity building program, which has to be implemented by state mission directors, which will be around 10.85 crores. The total budget outlay, the sub-scheme is funded 100% centrally by Government of India. So which will cost around 515 crores, where generation of base map and thematic map and at 1:4,000 scale is 115 crores, and master plan formulation is 388 crores. And capacity building there are 3 levels. One is administrative level. The administrator will be trained for 3 or 4 days. It is basically an awareness program. And there is a planning stream level where it is for 2 weeks, and operators and technician level it will be a program of 1 month, so that different levels of people will be trained under the comprehensive capacity building program, which a network of institutions have to be identified, the states and towns, so that both the institutions as well as the manpower will get trained in this application of space technology for formulation of master plan. The fund flow, how once you have towns have been identified, demarcated the areas, then you have to prepare a state action plan where the funds will be released, 20% of the project cost for all the 3 components on approval of the state action plan. Then you have a next followed by 40% of the project cost for base map and thematic map creation and awaiting of the data analysis report. Then another 20% on submission of draft master plan, and final 20% installment on approval of the final master plan. So this is a 20, 40, 20 and 20. Unlike the major main AMRUT mission, you have 20, 40, 40. Funds at every stage will be released subject to furnishing of utilization certificate and physical progress of deliverables. The timelines. See, the timelines what have been identified is that for a batch of 100 towns or cities, it is 6 months. The major activities are data acquisition to generation of thematic layers. Then for plan formulation, taking the input of our base map prepared on GIS mode, that will be used. Meantime, all state town planning departments have to collect the socio-economic data, and also simultaneously they have to vet the maps provided by the remote sensing centers, and they have to go for primary and secondary surveys which are mandatory or required for plan formulation, and analyze the data and project the requirements. For these activities, 36 months is the approximate time which was anticipated in the scheme. Deliverables. At the end of the implementation of this sub-scheme, what all we get? We get 1:4,000 scale defined layers at the functional scale of thematic maps. So 1:4,000 scale thematic maps and base map as per the design and standards. We have almost, we have finalized the design standards, and the draft copy of the design standards were sent to all the states for their own comments. Then we have also received the comments. There is a committee, design standards committee at the national level, constituted by the Ministry of Urban Development, who is working out the details of how to acquire the data and what are the standards of data standards and image standards and output standards and so on. They have been worked out. The other one is urban database creation. To know the health of the city, you should have the socio-economic data. See, just having the physical data is not sufficient for plan formulation. You should have a socio-economic data, sector-wise, like housing, houseless formulation and physical data, and what are the resources are available in the city and its region and its vicinity, and what are the transport related aspects, what is the modal split, what is the traffic volume, and so on. Things have to be collected, like water supply, what is the ward wise water is available, how many hours, and what is the gap today, and that all to estimate that what you need is sector wise water supply, drainage, sewerage, and solid waste disposal. There is a format has been designed and kept it in the design standards, so that every town, while formulating the master plan, they have to collect the socio-economic data from line departments like Public Works Department or Jal Board, and revenue departments and education department. So all the sectors which are covered in the city or in the master plan has to be collected from the line departments. Once it is collected, then you have to store it in the computer or link with your GIS database, so that various thematic maps such as population density map. Suppose if you connect with a ward boundary map and your GIS based map and connect with population density, then you will find it out which are the wards having what kind of densities. Then once you collect the socio-economic data and analyze it, then you will find it out the gaps. Then you have various thematic maps available from the GIS database, and which a base map also available, so that you can go for various planning, various your land use maps and the thematic maps such as water resources map, or you can find it out network map, road network map, rail network map, and so on, so that you can put your plan proposals on GIS database, which is available for plan implementation. While preparing a master plan, every state has to look into their own State, Town and Country Planning Act, and accordingly plan has to be prepared. So in this connection, what we have done, if the states who doesn't have required manpower, so they can outsource the plan formulation. So for that we have prepared RFP and also uploaded on our mission website, that is amrut.gov.in, where you can download RFP. In the RFP, you can modify the as per the requirement of State Town Planning Department, and they can hire the services of the consultant for formulation of master plan. So since the period of this sub-scheme is 3 years, one has to be very careful and should look into the websites so that they can get it. Then capacity building component. Under the capacity building component, it is a comprehensive in nature. The states have to identify the institutions such as a state remote sensing centers or national remote sensing center or IIRS, such kind of institutions for training their own manpower, and funds are allocated for that. And from line departments and town planning department and all other concerned department ULBs, you have to get them trained so that they are capable to use GIS software, and the data available from National Remote Sensing Center can be used effectively for formulation and updation of master plans. What is the review and monitoring mechanism? At state level, we have a state level technical committee which will oversee the progress of technical implementation of the reform. This SLTC, which is the part of AMRUT, main AMRUT, will see which are the areas can be part of the master plan, and they have to be notified, and once that is done, the demarcation and priorities. If suppose a state is having 20 AMRUT cities, which are the cities have to be taken up in as a priority cities. See, those cities which doesn't have any master plan has to be given the first priority, and the cities whose master plan is expiring, suppose by 2015 or 2016, have to be given more priority, and the cities whose master plan is there, they can be considered. That will be decided by the state level technical committee or even by the town planning department. Then once this at state level, this state action plan has been prepared, and it has to go to the state level high powered steering committee, which is chaired by the chief secretary. So once that has been done, at central level, periodic and detailed monitoring will be, and review of the reform state-wise will be carried out by the TCPU, and monitoring and review will be also done by technical advisory committee. Then whole of this state action plan for GIS based master plans will be approved by the Apex committee. In overall at the national level, the Apex committee will monitor, review overall progress of the sub-scheme implementation. What are the challenges? See, for formulation of master plan, we need the data from line departments, the sharing of the data without wasting much time within the plan period, within the mission period, that departments have to share the data. There is a lack of coordination among the departments and parastatals and line departments, which is one of the important part of this sub-scheme. The other thing is interest on the part of states and ULB. They should show more interest so that once you have a master plan, land acquisition and other things will be very easy, because plan formulation is a statutory, plan is a statutory document where you can use the plan so that for your project implementation. The spatial attribute data and vetting of the maps by the line departments is a time consuming process. The other thing is lack of adequate capacity and trained professionals within the ULB who are familiar with GIS. So there is a capacity building component and in AMRUT where you can use effectively, you can start right across the planning stage so that network of institutions can be identified and the personnel whom can be trained in each ULB can be identified so that they can be sent for the training. The other challenge is availability of cadastral maps and other thematic maps and data, because the data pertains to various periods of, suppose the data of water supply pertains to 2013 and or 2007 and 8 and population is 2011 and so on. These kind of things have to be resolved so that the scheme implementation can go in the right time. Actions initiated. What we have done under the scheme, we had a chief town planners meeting of different states and we have discussed, we have resolved so many issues. We have taken before the mission implemented, what are the issues to be coming up, and so we have taken the inputs from the chief town planners. Then unit rate of mapping, we have worked out with very close coordination with the National Remote Sensing Center. We have taken average area of the different class and size of the towns, and we have fixed up the unit rate of mapping which can be universally applicable. And design and standards is the most important document which we very soon, we are finalizing it and very soon we will upload in the website. See, this document, instead of everyone decide different standards, suppose there is a land use map or a base map, what are the contents of the base map? If there is a transport map, if you say what are the contents and what is the color code and what is the uniform code for the standard for that, each content has been identified. Then state mission directors have been requested to prioritize the cities and demarcate the mapping areas and as well as the planning areas for the cities, AMRUT cities. Then RFP has already been, a template has been prepared for procurement of consultancy services which has been uploaded on the and also circulated to all the states so that they can start the process of, if they require, they want to have consultancy services from the open market, so they can go for RFP. Then we are also in the process of finalizing MOU between Ministry of Urban Development and NRC for creation of geospatial database. So we are also proposing a meeting of state nodal officers. We have requested the state governments to identify, most of the states have identified the nodal officers who will be exclusively implementing this sub-scheme GIS based master plan. Then we have also designed a template for state action plan for the sub-scheme which has been finalized. So I am very much thankful to the participants for their listening. If you have any queries or details, you can call us or contact us, and you can also refer our websites amrut.gov.in, tcpomud.gov.in.